Looming shadows stretched across the schoolroom, but the coldness seeping into Samantha Ingles' bones had nothing to do with the cool mountain air sweeping through the open window from the snow-crested peaks of Turtle Mountain and its confederates. No, it was the confrontation looming ahead, one impossible to avoid, only to delay. Samantha slid the window down with more force than intended, and the thin pane shuddered in its casing. Yes, a delay was in order. After pinning her hat in place, a small, pathetic thing really, but she hardly cared, and buttoning her wool jacket, Samantha picked up the novel perched on the edge of her desk. With the book tucked under her arm, she shouldered her satchel filled with handwriting samples to be reviewed that evening, and straightened desks and slates as she trekked to the door of the large schoolroom. Her schoolroom. Satisfaction momentarily dispelled the stress of the day. She had come west on her own and was building a life here, one she could be proud of, one that would have a lasting impact on young lives. Mother and father would be proud, wouldn't they? Doubt tightened like a knot in her chest. Father, perhaps, would like that his daughter was industrious and not squandering his wealth. Mother, she wasn't here, so there was no point in dwelling on how she would feel about Samantha's age, marital status, or disregard for the latest fashions. There was nothing wrong with being a schoolteacher, and one on the frontier had little need for flounces. Samantha pushed her spectacles higher on her nose and stooped to pick a scrap of paper from under one of the desks. Once she'd unfolded the crumpled sheet, a cartoonish image glared back at her with beady eyes and slanted eyebrows. The small nose was a sharply angled L in the middle of a long face with pointed chin. She had to admit, Albert Clark was a gifted artist, even if she didn't appreciate his current depiction. Her chin wasn't that pointed. Depositing the paper into the fireplace to be used as kindling the next morning, Samantha steeled herself against wondering how some people might see her. Boys were known for being cruel and not liking school, so the drawing could not be taken as a personal affront, though she couldn't imagine the same being the case with the other schoolteacher, Miss Fredericks. She was too pretty and friendly and young. The girl was barely out of the schoolroom herself. The building seemed so quiet after the hustle and noise of a school day, but Samantha peeked her head in the second schoolroom, where the younger children met. No sign of Miss Fredericks, so it was probably safe to lock the main doors for the night. As a bustling mining town nestled in the Crow's Nest Pass, the gate to the Canadian Rockies, Frank's streets were teeming with folks who had come to work the mines and to cater to those workers. A handful of hotels, a bank, shops and mercantile, liveries, and everything a body might need had sprung up over the past 3 years, so she'd been told. Samantha was a newer arrival, having been hired at the beginning of the year when the population of children had grown too large for one teacher to handle. Even still, for a population of about 600, there was a decided lack of single women in this town. The simple walk to the boarding house had her face heating from the glances of the opposite sex, though thankfully none lingered, another reason to keep her current fashion. The town was filled with unmarried men, and more attention than Samantha had ever experienced in the East. Oh, the relief to slip into McClurg's boarding house. Samantha's student was easily sighted and saw her in return, eyes brightening. "Miss Ingles!" Lillian Clark finished with the last of the plates, topping the large stack on the counter, and hurried across the busy room Mrs. McClurg was already prepping for the dinner hour. The room smelled like heaven, but eating at the boarding house was an extravagance she did not require, not when it meant sharing a dining room filled with men. Though, today, it might be worth it to stave off confrontation a little while longer and perhaps some indigestion. "I'm sorry I missed school again. I was asked to stay for an extra shift." The girl was intelligent and craved learning,